This is the Movie Geeks Film News Podcast Network, and you are listening to the Movie Geeks Filmcast.
Hi, I'm Doug Jones, and you are listening to Movie Geeks Filmcast. Well, there you go. Movie Geeks helped buy my house for me, so I love you all.
Yeah. No, we're very excited to talk to you. You're actually our first celebrity guest, so.
Well, thank you for thinking I'm a celebrity, number one, and thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. Well, firstly, congratulations. Falling Skies is back.
Yes, I'm very excited.
Very exciting. What can you tell us about the upcoming series? Are we expecting big stuff?
Big stuff. Well, this is season 5, and we knew going into it that it was our final season. So that gave the writers a chance to bring us to, a close and to tie up all the loose ends and answer some questions finally, because after 5 years of why are the Ishveni aliens here taking over Earth? Why? That'll be answered by the end of the season. So that's the action has been ramped up again. It's very cinematic movie actiony, lots of visual effects, very Steven Spielbergish as our executive producer, of course. So and then lots of storylines. A lot of the relationships among all the characters are kind of resolved, or either ended or resolved or something. So you're going to have some closure, I hope, by the end of the year, or by the end of the summer. Now, is it airing in the UK a bit behind the US, or I'm not sure?
We get it on Tuesday nights.
On Tuesday nights. Oh, okay. So I won't.
We've had episode 1. We're waiting for episode 2.
Okay. Well, some of us from the cast are live tweeting during the U.S. airings on Sundays. So if you don't want spoilers, then just go la 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 during that.
We're quite happy with spoilers over here at MGFN. Oh. So that's cool. So how has it been playing Cochise? Is it fun playing like aliens? Like, how do you get into like otherworldly creatures like that?
Yeah, I do love playing Cochise so very, very much. I don't just love makeup for the sake of makeup. I love working with the best. I've worked with some of the best makeup artists in the world, and I'm very, very fortunate and blessed to have been able to have worn some, Oscar-winning designs and Emmy-winning designs. But when it's a character that's a part of a story that I love to help tell, that just really sweetens the pot for me. So Falling Skies has been a show that I was a fan of before they invited me onto it. So in season 3, when I was asked to come join the cast, it was like, yeah, I'm gonna. It was a very easy yes for me. So the creature effects makeup guru who does the Skitters on the show and the Ishveni, that would be Todd Masters of the Masters Effects company. So he's the one who got a hold of me on Facebook, of all places, and said, hey, we got this show called Falling Skies. We're introducing a new alien character. Would you be interested? I'm like, yeah, would I? Typed back as fast as I could. And so when I saw the design, I just love the look of Cochise so much too, because he's kind of like an E.T. grown up and filled out a little bit, And I of course we all fell in love with E.T. in our childhood. So as beloved as he was, and so he's got Cochise is one of those alien characters that has some humanity to him. He's the most human-like of all the aliens on the show, so that makes him the most relatable. He's the only one who speaks English, at least for himself. The Ishveni, of course, speak English through little Ben Mason, but so I've so much enjoyed playing him and loving him. I love his intellect. I love his innocence with human culture and all that too, and the writers have really kind of ramped up the humor of that this year too. They've made Cochise they've given me some one-liners here and there, or reaction shots that were built for funny. And the show needs a laugh here and there. It's a gloomy show. Let's be honest, right? Yeah. So, but in episode 4, coming up that in later July, later this month, right? No, what is tonight? Tonight? Oh, it's Sunday night here. So we have episode 2 airing tonight here in the States. So a couple more weeks from now, episode 4 is the big Cochise episode. The main storyline is mine, and you'll see a reuniting with my father, Waschakchaab, also played by me. I'm going to add, an alteration of the makeup, and I kind of altered my voice a little bit. Here we go, which I also did in season 3 when he made his, when he landed on Earth to help out at the end of that. But so you'll see Cochise kind of come to terms with his daddy issues, which I think is a good lesson for all of us to learn.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's some big stuff coming up then.
Yeah.
I saw on Facebook that you're going to be at Comic-Con with the Falling Skies guys. Have you got anything like big planned for the Comic-Con crowds, or?
Well, what TNT is always very good about, and what I think we air on. Do we air on the Fox network there in the UK?
Yeah, FX, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the network here, they always are very good about giving teasers and a couple of spoiler things at the Comic-Con panels. This year they moved us into a different ballroom. We're going to be in ballroom 20 at Comic-Con this year on Friday. If anyone's going to Comic-Con, it's this Friday, July 10th at 11:15 in the morning in ballroom 20, which is the second biggest ballroom in the entire convention hall. So, so they're ramping up. They're giving us a nice final farewell. So, of course, we're going to be all answering all those questions of what's the whole run of the show been like for us, and there's going to be sentimental, but they're also going to show some clips of upcoming episodes in yet to be seen this season, which is going to make the audience. I mean, they always pick a cliffhangery dun 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 and then the audience lights come up and they're going yeah. So I'm sure they got some surprise. I haven't seen the clip yet, and I never do. They never show it to us until we're sitting on the panel going like this and watching it for the first time ourselves going, oh, I can't believe they showed that. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So it's just as much a surprise for you as it is for them. Yeah,
right. Even though we filmed the show, we know what's coming. But I just sometimes I feel like, wow, they're giving away a lot here. But it does get the audience very excited, and there's a certain art to teasing without giving too much away,
Definitely. So talking of Comic-Con, will you be there with any of your other franchises, or is it just Falling Skies?
Right now, officially just Falling Skies. I'm trying to think. I did do a feature film called Space Command that I'm supposed to be doing a signing at the Geekscape booth on Saturday at 2 p.m. With some of the cast members from that. The word is still, and I'm still not sure. I did a movie with Guillermo del Toro called Crimson Peak.
Yes.
Coming out here in the States. Anyway, it comes out in October 16th. So I'm assuming that the worldwide release is close. Yeah. So Legendary Pictures is doing a big panel in Hall H. That is the biggest one that holds 8,000 people or something crazy like that. So Crimson Peak will be a part of that panel. Will they? So the jury's still out whether I'm joining that panel or not. Because I play a couple of the ghosts in the movie, and revealing too much of who they are, why they're there. They haven't let all that out yet.
Okay.
Right. So if you watch the trailers for Crimson Peak, you'll see hints of us all throughout the movie, and all the ghosts are played by Javier Botet and myself. So Javier Botet, of course, the very tall, very skinny fellow who played the Mama ghost in Mama. Yeah, and he's extremely talented, and we hit it off the minute we met because we also had another something in common. In the movie Quarantine, I played the thin infected man, and he was the first one to play that role in the Spanish version of the movie that came first, called Rec, R-E-C. And in that movie, it was thin infected woman. So
Yeah.
I know, yeah. So we played the same role in different languages in different films, but
Cool.
so we had a connector, yeah. But so we'll see if that happens. And also, I do a couple of episodes of The Strain this season. The Strain season 2.
Yeah.
I'm reprising my role as the leader of the ancient vampires. And in the season opener, again, I'm not sure. Again, in the U.S., it opens. It starts up again on July 12th, which is this a week from today. Yeah, is that same for you guys?
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. So in the season opener next Sunday, you will see the opening scene as a flashback that will tell you and show you how the master became the master.
Mm-hmm.
And I might have something to do with that in a crazy makeup. I don't know. Okay, again, teaser, not giving too much away. Of course, that's Robert Maillet, who plays the master on the show.
Oh, okay.
He's 7 feet tall, big boned fella. If you look at my Instagram page, on Instagram I'm at actor Doug Jones. You scroll down a bit, you'll see a picture of Robert and I out of makeup together. After I filmed my last episode, the second of my 2 episodes, we went to breakfast before I went to the airport. Just he and I, we never spent time together, just like getting to know each other. And the waitress took a picture of us together, which is hilarious. I'm 6'3.5". That's a tall fella.
Yeah.
He dwarfs me, and his bones are like he's just a big boned, broad man. And I just look like a 3-year-old next to him. It's hilarious, yeah. But in this again in the season opener, the flashback scene, you'll see him coming in without makeup and becoming the master. And how did that happen? What inhabited him might have been, I don't know.
Okay. Mum's the word.
There you
go. Well, talking of The Strain, and you've already mentioned Crimson Peak, you have a great working relationship with Guillermo del Toro. Mm-hmm. What's it like to work with Guillermo?
Well, it's everything you would, if you're a fan of his, it's everything you would think it would be. He is brilliant. He's hilarious. He's the most like thoughtful, deep visionary I've ever worked with in my life. He understands human beings and humanity and personalities so amazingly well. When he writes with so much intuition on the human condition. And when he directs us actors, he directs with that same intuition. So he knows us better than we know ourselves, really. He knows my weaknesses and my strengths better than I do. So, like, for instance, when he told me that I had to play the faun in Pan's Labyrinth, I told him, "Oh, no, I think you've made a horrible mistake," right? Which no actor would ever say in their right mind. But I did because it was in Spanish, and I thought, I'm going to ruin your movie. And he was like, So he barreled through and got his way, and we ended up with a movie that I think we're pretty proud of, So I trust him. Yeah, if he said jump in front of that bus, I'm going to film it. It's going to be gorgeous. I'm like, okay, it's Guillermo. I got to do it. So that's and yet he's also, aside from the artistic side of him, which is brilliant, he is also like just somebody you would hang out with at university. He'd be one of your best friends that you would you'd want to check in with on Friday night to say, "Hey, what are you doing, Guillermo?"
Yeah, I bet. Talking of Pans, it's probably my favourite film.
Yeah, it's my favorite I've ever been in. I can be telling you. Oh yeah. With 6 Oscar nominations, it's like, yeah, they weren't wrong. Yeah. And
you've already mentioned the Faun, which it's a unforgettable character. But how did you get into the mindset of this guy?
The Pale Man, yes.
Pale Man.
With the eyes and the hands. It was. He was. How do you get in the mindset of a creature that's fantasy driven, that's mythological or made up? I couldn't go to a Pale Man nursing home and interview someone who's been there and done that, So I kind of had to make this folklore up, along with Guillermo's help, of course, who conceived of him. And I think if you're playing any evil character that you play, you have to love him as much as you love the good characters that you play. You have to invite him in and let him play himself through you. And with that comes an understanding that nobody wakes up in the morning and says, "I'm going to be evil today." I think evil characters are just trying to survive like anybody else. Their morals might be askew, their judgment might be askew, and their actions might then in turn be askew from the norm and from what's right. So the Pale Man, I think, he's misunderstood, and most of all, he's just hungry. He wakes up from this, how many ever years he's been asleep, and his skin is sagging all around him, which makes you think like he probably was a big fat ass, who ate children and got tubby from it, and now he hasn't had children in so long that he's waking up going, "Oh, it's time there's a little girl, let's eat." He doesn't know. So he's no more guilty of of anything than I am when I see a hamburger.
When you put it like that, I almost sympathise for the Pale Man.
Yeah, right. See,
yeah, he's just hungry. It's fine.
That's right.
After, I'm not sure if it was after or before, but obviously Hellboy as well. Saw you team up with Del Toro yet again with, I must say, another one of my favourite characters of all time, Abe Sapien.
Thank you.
But talking of Hellboy, I did write it down somewhere. Ron Perlman put on Instagram the other week, lurking, waiting, and then poof, one more Roman numeral after the name, as if by magic. Does that mean Hellboy 3 might be picking up a bit of momentum, or is it still wishful thinking?
Well, okay, here's the big thing, right? Okay. So let's start at the beginning for those of your listeners, watchers who don't know what the backstory is. And if they don't know the backstory, they've been living under a rock. But Ron Perlman took to Twitter a few weeks ago, saying, "Does anyone else want to see this as much as I do? Let's get this mother effer trending. Hashtag Hellboy 3. the Roman numeral 3. Hellboy 3. And then I saw it in my news feed. I was on Twitter 20 minutes later going, scroll, scroll, scroll. Oh! So I hit the reply button and I said, "Locking elbows with you, Big Brother Red." Because, of course, he's Brother Red, I'm Brother Blue. And I put hashtag Hellboy 3. And then he's replied back, "Well, with you on board, we can't miss. Hashtag Hellboy 3. Well, anyway, this whole thing started an avalanche on the internet that went viral, and indeed it was trending within the day, hashtag Hellboy, Roman numeral 3. And that his main purpose was to send a message to the studio system to say, the audience is there, the audience is waiting, the audience is wanting Hellboy 3. Because we've all wanted to do it. Ron wants to do it, I want to do it, Selma Blair wants to do it, Jeffrey Tambor wants to come back, and Guillermo del Toro, as our director, writer, would also love to. Mike Mignola, the creator of the comics, would also love to see this happen. So if all the creatives are wanting it to happen, and it's not happening yet, my guess, I'm not a spokesman for the studio, but my guess is that it's a studio issue and a budget issue. It usually involves money, right?
Yeah.
So I have no idea how much they're asking for, how much they need, how much is not being given. I'm not sure what that discussion has looked like, if there's been a discussion or not. I'm not privy to any of that. They don't tell me jack nothing. So in the meantime, Ron taking to Twitter was a nice way of saying, look, we have millions of people behind us saying, please give us this movie. So the ticket sales will be there. The DVD purchases will be there. The downloads will be there. Whatever format you watch a movie in and pay for it, it's there. So please, 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 for the love of Pete, make the movie. So not only did it go viral on the social media, but news outlets and everything picked it up as well. And Ron was doing lots of interviews, and it's come up in every interview I've done, and he and I have both done since this started. So then he followed up. Well, okay, the tweet you're talking about, he went back to the Twitter and said waiting, and then adding another Roman numeral to the title. he then did I was like, I thought, did he have a conversation that I haven't heard about yet? Did he talk to somebody that, hey, I thought the same thing you did, Scotty. But he went to Twitter again after that to correct himself and to make, because everyone was speculating. And he said something about like that was just his wishful thinking continuing. He does not know anything concrete. He was just, looking at Hellboy thinking, wouldn't it look nice with another eye next to that too? You know what I mean? Which I couldn't agree with more. So, but let's hope that somebody at Universal Pictures or somewhere it has been doing this and has been doing this with all of the activity, and maybe we'll have a sequel before we're all too old to do it. That's what Ron's been saying too in all of his interviews, is like, he's 65 years old now, and I'm 10 years behind him. I'm 55, even though I look fabulous, don't I? Say yes, Scotty.
Definitely.
Thank you. So he, he's been saying like, much longer of a wait, and he'll be doing Hellboy 3 from a wheelchair. So let's get it underway is what he's trying to say, and I'm all for that to happen.
Yeah, same. Now, as a fan, I'm definitely behind the movement.
Thank you, Scotty.
We're talking of like Abe and the Fawn and things like that. I recently watched a YouTube video by a guy called Sidney Cumby. I believe you know him. Yeah. Did you know?
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. Yes.
And it was a live cast he did of you, like you must go through that for most. Like, don't get me wrong, I know you're an actor in your own right, and I know you don't want to be known as like a creature actor and a character actor and things like that. But you must go through all of that kind of stuff when you do things like Abe, and he was the Angel of Death as well, and I know that's got the big old and
yeah. So, like,
that can't be comfortable. Like, how have you got used to that?
No, of course it's not comfortable, but it's a part of the gig, If you're going to be made into an otherworldly creature or something that goes beyond human, that comes with hours of makeup application, and they can't do that without having a life cast of your face, head, neck, shoulders to sculpt that design onto. Yeah. They do a clay sculpture on a life cast of you, and then they turn that into a prosthetic pieces that get glued onto you that fit you perfectly because it was made off of that life cast sculpture of you. So so Sidney Cumby, my friend, for those who want a fun person to follow on Instagram, his screen name is @IShootTheDead. He was a photographer many years ago, a professional photographer who did lots of zombie photo shoots. So that's why I shoot the dead, kind of figurative and literal, get it. But he's a self-taught makeup artist, Sidney is, and I met him through Instagram of all places, and we've become fast, furious friends. And I never had a life cast of my own. A lot of lower budget films that come looking for me often ask, we don't have a whole big budget for creature effects. Do you have a life cast of yourself already? And I don't own one, so I refer them to the creature shops that do have them, and then they'll get back to me saying, it was, they wanted us to rent it from them or buy it from them, or so it got more expensive again. So I thought, well, if I had my own life cast, I could answer that question for people. So I told Sidney, make a life cast of me, and he hadn't done a whole lot of them at the time, but he was like, all right, I will. Turns out it's the best life cast I've ever had of myself. It was just beautiful. It's perfect. And I'm not saying I'm beautiful and perfect, but that is. And and through his Instagram activity, he's now been asked to join Face Off season 9, which I'm not sure when you guys get it over there again with our time lapse, but it starts July 28th here in the States. The new season of Face Off on the Sci-Fi channel. I'm not sure. Again, it might air on Fox there too. I'm not sure. But
well, we get the Sci-Fi channel, so it might be around the same time.
Oh, okay. There you go. So, and I've been a guest judge on 2 seasons of I was a guest judge 1 episode in season 6 and then 8 And then, but then when Sydney got on the show in season 9, I thought, well, there goes that chance. They're not gonna ask me back to judge that season because I would be like very biased. Yeah.
Talking of like obviously like makeup and prosthetics, with like the advances in CGI, do you still think there's a place in Hollywood for makeup and the prosthetics? Yeah?
I do. There's been all sorts of speculation about with the advent of computer graphics and how they're getting better all the time. Does that mean that creature effects, the practical effects, are going to be phased out? And I don't think so. I think, especially with directors like Guillermo del Toro around, who has a love for the old school art of filmmaking, and his love of those classic black and white Universal monsters. Will hopefully keep him making movies with real makeups in them on real actors long. And I think when I do the convention circuit, I not only Comic-Con in San Diego, but I tend to travel quite a bit, doing weekends here and there, meeting fans at conventions. And what I hear from them, and those are the people buying the tickets for movies and watching the TV shows we're in, they like to see practical effects. They appreciate the artistry that goes into it. Now, there's artistry in visual effects as well. Don't get me wrong. The digital world takes such a talented hand to make those, but it's a different art form. So the art form of actually sculpting and gluing and coloring and painting on a real life person, that's an art form that should never be lost. And the fans really, really do support that. And so I think what's happening a lot more now is there's CG enhancements, and you'll see that in Crimson Peak with the. I wore a head-to-toe makeup as the two ghost characters I play in Crimson Peak, created by DDT Efectos Especiales. That's the Spanish company that did the Pan's Labyrinth monsters, and they got the best makeup Oscar for it. Yeah. That same team did all the ghost characters in Crimson Peak. But you'll see that they have been CG enhanced maybe here and there to make something happen that we couldn't do practically on set. That's a great blend of both mediums, where everyone's employed, everyone gets to work, and everyone gets to take credit for these beautiful characters being created. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah.
Am I right in thinking that on a smaller scale they did that with Abe and Blinking? Is that right?
Right, yeah. Exactly. Because Abe Sapien the design was so close to my face, there wasn't room in there to work in mechanics to make eyes blink. So they added it in with CG in post-production. Now, my gills were practical. So when they were moving and breathing, that was noise and gears and batteries that were happening right next to my ears. So it's hard to hear my co-stars, but the eyes were absolutely, they wouldn't move otherwise. They were just kind of stuck there, So with CG, that was a great blend. Also, the Silver Surfer, when I played him in the Fantastic Four sequel, a creature effects makeup from head to toe. I was in a beautiful muscle suit that gave me the best ass I've ever had. but at the end of the day, they did a CG enhancement over that, and but you can tell in the movie, in the Silver Surfer movie, when I power down and lose my luster, and the CG effects go away, and it's really just me in the creature, in the practical makeup design that was actually glued onto my person. They did some CG still to clean up and take the blue out of my eyes so that I would match the tarnished monochromatic look that he had, but that was another good blend of practical and visual effects. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up the Silver Surfer, because with all probably the biggest blockbusters over the last few years being superhero movies, is that something you'd like to do? Maybe return to the superhero movies, or? I know you did Arrow and Flash.
I did indeed, yeah. I hadn't done superhero movies since Hellboy 2. I haven't done another superhero movie really. Of course, I've stayed in the sci-fi and horror genres, of course, and fantasy, especially with Falling Skies for 3 years, and The Strain, of course, too. But I was so tickled pink to be invited to play Deathbolt, a DC villain from the comic books, lesser known, of course, but still legitimately from the 80s and in comic book form. So to be able to bring Deathbolt to life in the DC world on television was just a great treat for me. So that was on. For those who don't know, that would be episode 319 of Arrow. It was called Broken Arrow was the title of the episode. And then I crossed over to do The Flash and reprised my role of Deathbolt in episode 122 of The Flash, and that was titled Rogue Air. When you're playing, I like the superhero world so much just because I think the reason comic books and superheroes are always so popular, everyone's got their theories on why, but my personal theory is that I think we all are looking for a hero, and we're all we love the idea of someone swooping down from the sky saying, "I'm here to help." Wouldn't we love that? Yeah, and I think when you watch a movie where there's a villain being brought to justice by a superhero, it makes you leave the movie theater going, "Yes, I'm going to go home and lock up the villains in my life and tell them they're banished to some ice igloo prison place for the rest of their life, and they have no more meaning in my life. They have no more control over me." I think that's very empowering, and it's something that our world today really does. We really do need heroes, and so I think if we all step up and take a lesson from the heroes we see on film, the world might be a better place.
No, I couldn't agree with you more, Doug. Because you've answered all my makeup, all my movie questions. I have just a few kind of general questions, if that's okay with you.
I was young, I needed the money. Is that what you're going to ask?
No, one of the things I read on your website, the Doug Jones Experience, is that you've been waiting to write a book. Is this something that us Doug Jones fans can wait for, patiently, or is this something that?
Well, thank you for that. Well, I never get asked about this. This is very nice. Thank you. Neil Gaiman, a very famous writer who wrote books like The Sandman and Stardust and Coraline, and then he's also written screenplays like Beowulf and the movie version of Coraline, and the list goes on and on and on. What's the title with God in it? Gods and Men? No, something. Anyway, I love Neil Gaiman, and he met him. He was on the Hellboy 2 movie shoot with us, shadowing Guillermo del Toro to learn how to be a director. And on a day off, we had connected, and his daughter Maddie, who was 12 at the time, the three of us went on a walk in a park on a day off from the movie shoot, just to talk about life and love and stuff and and he was very insightful about the world of celebrity and how he handles his fan base, which is humongous. And he asked me that day if I had any stories, coming from a writer's perspective, as he does. He said, "Do you have any stories you would ever want to write?" And I said, "Oh, God." I said, "Oh, Neil Gaiman, you must have writers coming to you all the time saying, 'Hey, I got this idea. What do you think, Neil Gaiman?' I so don't want to do that to you." And he said, No, I'm asking." So I said, tell me one of your stories. I'm like, Well, they were ideas that I had. As an actor, a lot of us have ideas to write something that we could star in, a vehicle for us to act in. So I told him one of those storylines, and he said, "I like it. You should write it. But don't write the movie, write the book, write the novel." And I said, "Why, Neil Gaiman, why?" And he said, because he said, your story, number one, just has more potential to be published than it does to be. I mean, there are far more books published every year than movies produced. Good. Okay, so just a sheer numbers thing. And if it's a movie-worthy story in book form, someone will want to buy the rights, and you can sell those rights again and attach yourself to whatever role you want. So there's more potential that way. Good idea. So the storyline I told him about, without going into great detail here, was just basically a character loosely based on myself. So that would be a creature effects actor in Hollywood, and that's what I was called 15 years ago. So it's basically based on me 15 years ago. So I was stuck in lots of rubber costumes, and taking jobs just because they paid, and not having a whole lot of creative control over anything. Very grateful for every job, every referral I got from creature effects people. Absolutely, I love them dearly for that. But sometimes, like when it came to the bigger Hollywood machine, the press, agents, producers, money, all those issues, you were looked at as a second class. You weren't like a full actor. You were like a suit performer or a creature actor or a mime or a movement guy, as though those were bad things or lesser things. So I kind of have, I really have been on a campaign to up the respect for people who do what I do, which is what Lon Chaney did, was what Boris Karloff did, what Bela Lugosi did, and that golden era of monsters in movies, they were treated as movie stars. They were respected as that. So I kind of wanted that to come back. And so this book idea is a creature actor who's kind of like being disrespected. So all of my horror stories from any set I've ever been on were compiled into one movie shoot that opens the book in chapter 1. So I have written chapter 1 now. Haven't made it much beyond that. And it's been 7 years since I had that talk with Neil Gaiman, so I feel I'm ashamed of myself. But it's been just a matter of time. I don't. Who has the time, Scotty? You know what I'm saying? Speaking of the convention circuit, many conventions happen in the UK. I know. Gosh, they've been happening. I know there's one in Milton Keynes. There's one. I did one in mind so far in Birmingham, and so I really want to do one. I want to come back again. That was many years. That was like in 2008. So it's time I come back. We just have to find the right convention, and it has to be worked out. The deal has to be worked out with my appearance manager. There's always like that stuff to work out details. But I'm overdue for a trip back to the UK where I can meet people actually, and like be at a table where I can hug on people who know who I am. Thank heaven for those people who know who I am, like you, Scotty. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. With more things being filmed in the UK, have you never worked over here, or would you like to work over here?
No, I've never filmed there. It's funny. I've been close. I was in. I did a movie in Paris. I did a movie in that was Gainsbourg, A Heroic Life, based on the life and times of Serge Gainsbourg, the very famous French singer-songwriter. I played a fantasy character. I was his alter ego in that. But we filmed in Paris for 4 months in 2009. And in 2005, I filmed Pan's Labyrinth in Madrid, Spain.
Yep.
Yeah, and I've done Eastern Europe a lot. In those countries that lure production in with, whatever incentives they have, like Romania and the Czech Republic and Hungary. But now I need to film something in the UK, don't I? Mm. If I could get even a one-time guest role on Downton Abbey, that would make many people in my life very happy.
Your publicist said you were filming last week. Is that anything you can tell us about that, or is that hush hush?
Not hush hush. It's I think it is. It's a short film. I do short films when they're creatively juicy and lovely. They don't always have the commercial viability that a feature does, or a TV series, or even a web series at time. So it's harder to find a profit from a short film. But it is a nice calling card for a director, for a cinematographer, for writers, producers, and they can be darlings on the film festival circuit. So when I read the script for this one, it was like, oh, this is absolutely a short I want to do. It is also post-apocalyptic, but it's called Olive, and I'm the last man on Earth, and the only other living thing on Earth is an olive plant that I'm growing in a big bathtub. So we have kind of like this love relationship, this olive plant and I, because it's like when you have a teddy bear or a puppy, it can't talk, but you project all of its personality onto it, and it gives you whatever you need because it doesn't complain. You know what I mean? So the olive plant has kind of become that. It's a really lovely exploration of some psychology, and the world is was kind of raped of all its natural resources in this storyline, and I'm the only guy left, and so it's kind of a statement and all that. It's really lovely, lovely little story. And if anybody wants to look at images from it or see the pitch campaign, it's on the Kickstarter. I think they actually have an active campaign going right now to try to finish up their funds for it. We're done filming. I just wrapped, but they want to get some funds to carry them through post-production. So that would be if you go to Kickstarter.com and look for Olive, just like an olive, yummy, OLIVE, and that'll tell you more about that. Yeah, yep.
So this has been great. All the best for the last series of Falling Skies.
Yeah, thank you.
Crimson Peak. Just generally good luck with everything, and carry on being you, Dougie.
Yeah, well, you too, Scotty, and you keep making me proud of you, because I am. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Okay, let's do this again sometime.
Let's hope so.
Okay.
I hope so.
It's a deal.
Take care.
All right, bye-bye.
Find everything we do at mgfn.co.uk. Find us on Twitter at Movie Geeks News and at facebook.com/Movie Geeks Film News. Thanks for listening.